Welcome everyone to Train Tuesday. I'm your host Jim Wiggin and so glad to hear from you and see from you tonight. Let's see who we have joining us here tonight. We've got a little bit of everything here for you tonight. We've got some HO, we've got some N scale, and we've got F59s as well as 57-foot reefer cars, complete with sound. And those are, like I said, an HO and N scale. But let's see who's joining us on the live feed. I see Cole, Jason, Sid, Elko Steam, Zed from New Zealand. There's a lot of Z's and Z's in there. Ronald is here. Darren is here. John, Brody, and DG Model Works is in the house. And Jason, just to name a few. So, like I was saying, we're going to be talking about some HO and N scale. Now, N scale guys, you're always feeling like that you're forgotten. So tonight, most of the pictures that I'll be sharing with you are N scale models, but HO scale guys, keep in mind these are available as HO as well. So don't get discouraged. Now, some of these are in stock. Some of the HO scale models are in stock. The N scale models, like the N scale F59s, we're hoping to see those start shipping here by the end of this month. So beginning of May, you should see those. So with that, let's see who else is joining us on the live feed. We've got about 52 folks joining us so far. I see Michael is here, Forrest. Let's see, NSWLE. Jason has joined us, Rodney, and John. So with that, I want to thank you for those who are coming here live tonight. For those who are watching us after the fact on our YouTube channel, thank you. If you like the content in which you see on a weekly basis, please do us a favor, like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video like this drops into the feed. And then, of course, comment. I can't promise I'm going to answer all of those comments, but I try to answer as many as possible. So here we are. Now, I do want to remind everybody, the calendar is telling me that today is April 22nd. We've only got one more live Train Tuesday before we take a break for the spring and summer. Starting in May, we do these as pre-recorded, and then starting again in October, we go live. So that's how we do Train Tuesday. And also want to remind you too that if you've got questions, I will try to look at those questions at the end of the presentation. For right now, sit back, relax, grab a beverage of your choice, and let's start talking about some model train goodness. And we're going to start by talking about F59s. So a little history on these locomotives. Now the F59PHI, it is a high-speed locomotive. It was produced by Electromotive Division from 1994 to 2001, so not very long. It did feature an isolated cab, lightweight body, and a streamlined shape, features that were absent on the original commuter F59PH. Now, first built for the California Department of Transportation, the F59PHI has seen service in all four corners of America, mostly seen in California as well as the Pacific Northwest, as well as Montreal in Canada. And most recently, yes, not too far from me, just a little bit up north, Chicago's Metra Railroad. Now, in 1990, the state of California passed a bill that would result in a massive funding for the state transportation systems. It also resulted in a separate state-funded system of regional Amtrak routes. CDOT wanted a locomotive that would both be reliable and attractive, and they approached EMD, who responded with a lightweight, high-speed F59PHI locomotive. Soon after, more orders did arrive. Amtrak ordered 21 of these locomotives for the Pacific Surfliner service, separate from the Amtrak California, and the North Carolina Department of Transportation also selected it as their primary motive power. West Coast, operated by TransLink in Metro Vancouver, also selected it for starting up its service. Now, the F59PHI was produced until 2001. It was taken off of EMD's lineup because it wasn't able to meet the EPA Tier 1 regulations. Now, some of Amtrak's California F59PHIs have been rebuilt by EMD. These are eco repowers. So we're going to start with the first one you see on your screen, 453. This is a 2000s era Amtrak. This has got revised artwork, revised striping based on the prototype. We have done these in the past. However, these have the correct um, striping and artwork this time. We're also going to offer unit number 461, which is not seen here, but same paint scheme, just a different road number. Now, again, these are the N scale models. However, HO scale guys, you have the same selection. So rather than do two presentations, we're just going to combine them. We're going to show the N scale. We're going to show a few of the HO scale. But stay tuned. So here's one that is really popular. This Amtrak F59 is number 457, and this is how it looked from roughly 2011 to 2014. It's also the perfect power to complement a Genesis Surfliner cars. Now, on HO scale, of course, we are hoping to get those out by the end of the year. N scale guys, there is another manufacturer that has made these, so this would be a perfect complement for those. Sticking with the Amtrak thread, we've got the Amtrak California, the 1994 era paint scheme. This unit is 2002. We're offering another road number in this paint scheme. This is 2008. Again, this would be another perfect power complement for the in the HO scale, the Genesis Surfliners. N scale guys is another manufacturer that just announced theirs. Now let's go up the road not too far from where I'm at right now, up into Chicago. And here we have Metra. This is late 2020 era. So actually we announced these back in 21. Took a while to get here. There were some refinements that we did, not just the artwork on the Amtrak units, but some other refinements as well. And so these just got delivered, but these are basically how they looked in late 2020. Now, beginning in 2017, Metra began to honor the legacy of the railroads that made Chicago a centerpiece of American travel by painting several of its locomotives in heritage paint schemes. Locomotive 90 here is painted in the Chicago Northwestern Railroad livery, whose former rail lines still see Metra trains today. It's pretty cool to see a heritage paint scheme on a relatively modern locomotive. I'm sure this one's going to be popular. Metra is always popular anyways. The fact that we're offering Metra with this throwback paint scheme is going to make this one really popular. Now, if you pre-order these in either HO or N scale, you might be having a call from your dealer. You may even have yours already. If you did not pre-order and you're a Metra fan, I highly suggest talking to your dealer as soon as Train Tuesday is over and talking to them, see if they can get one for you. So this is, again, Metra Chicago Northwestern Heritage number 90. But we're not done with heritage units. Now, a little bit on this, and then I'll tell you the reason why it's a legendary liveries. Now, unveiled in January of 2019, number 409 is painted in the colors of the Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Paul, and Pacific Railroad, better well known as the Milwaukee Road. It also features the famous Hiawatha logo on the nose. Now, we took a little bit of creative licensing here. The paint scheme on 405 is not depicted on an F59PHI locomotives in real life. However, we did want to offer them in our legendary liveries as a fitting tribute to the legacy of these great railroads and to satisfy popular demand on these paint schemes. So if prototype accuracy is not your big thing, but you really like this paint scheme and you want to justify it for your Metra fleet, nobody's going to complain. Well, some people will complain, but for the most part, most folks will really like these in the legendary liveries Milwaukee Road. We've got one more for fans of the Rock Island. Again, legendary liveries. This is this is a little bit newer than 2019 or so. Again, there is no F59 painted in this paint scheme. This is legendary liveries, but we thought it'd be a fitting tribute to do the Rock Island as well and offer that for you. Now we're going to do some regional as well. And coming up first is the North Carolina DOT. This is a 2000s era paint scheme. We're going to offer this in 2 road numbers. The one that you see on your screen right now is 1755. It's the city of Salisbury. We're also offering the 1755. Sorry, that's the one that's not pictured. City of Asheville is pictured. That's 1797. Now, a little bit of background on North Carolina DOT. Beginning back in 1995, North Carolina developed the Piedmont Regional Train as a follow-on to Amtrak's Calorilean. Wow, that's a mouthful. The train runs between Charlotte and Raleigh and runs a maximum of 6 times a day. Among the motive power used for the service are 2 EMD F59PHI locomotives, 1755 and 1797. The trains are operated by Amtrak crews. However, the state owns the locomotives and all the rolling stock. Again, 2000s era North Carolina DOT in 2 road numbers. HO, these are available now, I believe, N scale. You're going to have to wait a little bit till the end of the month. And then finally, Metrolink, 1994 era. You remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the Bombardier cars. We have a whole set of the Metrolink cars. So these would be the perfect addition to those cars. We're going to offer this in 2 road numbers. The one that you see currently on your screen, as well as 878. Now, Metrolink is a commuter railroad in Southern California. It operates 535 miles of network, which currently consists of 7 different lines. Metrolink 874 through 881 were delivered back in 1994. The units feature decorative corrugated panels on their sides, and the units were in service as late as 2019, with 874 still wearing its as-delivered livery, which is pretty new. Of course, if you remember, we talked about those refurbed cars. Those got a new updated paint scheme, but we're also offering the earlier paint scheme that you see here. Now, you can run them both if you want, because as our research shows, 874 was still in this paint scheme as late as 2019. So let's talk about some of the features of the N scale versions. Now, these are, even though they're N scale, really got a lot of detail to them. Now, first of all, they're going to have LED lighting. You can get them DCC ready, or you can get them with Tsunami 2. You can get them so that you have all the sounds that you would normally have with Tsunami 2. These are also going to have all-wheel drive with precision gears for smooth and quiet operation. The nice thing about these will operate on both code 80, which is pretty popular, as well as code 55. My layout here is mainly code 40 and code 55, and it has absolutely no issues with that. Minimum radius on these in N scale is 19 3/4. So even if you're into T-track, if you're into the small modular disciplines, these will work fine. You'll have no problem with them. HO features, okay, same thing. You have the option of Tsunami 2 equipped or DCC ready. They're going to have LED lighting. The DCC ready version has a 21-pin plug and play, the NEM connector. It too, both the HO and the N scale actually have the separately applied horn and wire grab irons. A little bit more detail on the HO, honestly, because it's bigger. It's a little bit easier to see. So you're going to have see-through window glazings and radiator fans, something that you don't have in N scale. So there you have it. There's the F59s. We're not done, but while we're here, we'll see if you guys have some questions on the F59s, whether it be the HO or the N scale. Go ahead and fire away, and we will answer those questions. If not, if I don't see a lot of questions on these, I will go ahead and move on. Now, a lot of folks were waiting on these. These were extremely popular. We had a lot of people asking, when are these coming in? Well, the HO ones, I believe, like I said, have already started to ship. The N scale ones, they should be able to start shipping in the beginning of May, I think. Let's see what else we've got. Yes, we are all waiting for California cars. We're hoping to have them out before the end of the summer. So Surfliner California guys, listen up. We're hoping to have, actually, we're hoping to have some test shots soon. I don't have a date on that, but as soon as we have some test shots, we're going to post them on our social media. Glenn wants to know, weren't these announced years ago? If you're talking about the F59s, yeah, back in 2021, believe it or not. It's been a little bit, but there were some refinements that we did, both on the artwork as well as some other things. So yeah, a little bit of a long wait on those, but they finally have arrived. John saying, glad to see Athearn upping its N scale. We've done a lot in N scale in the last 2 years. We've got new tooling. We announced CA11 N scale cabooses, 13K tank cars. We just started shipping the 45-foot Fruhoff trailers. That's all new tooling for N scale. We've upgraded a lot of our N scale cars to Athearn Genesis, which means they have cut levers and air hoses. So yeah, we've got a lot out there. So don't forget about us. So this is bears worth repeating. I'm going to pick on Melvin tonight because he might not know. He's got requests for road numbers that we've done in the past. Can we do them again? These are actually great suggestions because we sometimes run out of road numbers, but it's been so long since we've offered road numbers that we've done previously that folks may have missed them the first time. So this is actually a great suggestion. He's got actual road numbers. So Melvin, what you want to do is you want to go over and send us an email, and send that email to Athearn product suggestions at athearn.com. Again, that's Athearn product suggestions at athearn.com. And that will get put in the pool, if you will. And when it comes time for us to run these again, and we have a lot of folks asking for those specific road numbers, we might run those again. Terry Poole, same thing. Just go ahead and shoot us an email through the product suggestion email. Michael wants to know, it says, beautiful selections tonight for N scale. Thanks a lot for showing. The bi-level bombardier, we already did those. It was a couple of weeks ago. So go over to our YouTube channel and look up the Train Tuesday playlist. And we did that not last week, but the following week. And we had some here on the layout. Those are pretty cool cars. All right. Ray, no, these, I was talking specifically about some of the cars that we've updated. These are still Athearn. So both the N scale and the HO scale F59PHIs, they're in the Athearn level. However, they do have some pretty nice details. And I'm surprised too, because the N scale versions actually have Tsunami too. So that would be nice. I believe these have started to ship. I don't have access to the same things I did a while back, so I can't, unless I physically even then I can't physically go into our distribution center and see. The system's a little bit different than what I was used to, so the ones that they're using. But I believe I saw that the HO versions have already shipped. The N scale ones I do know have not shipped. All right, well, let's go on to our next item. And now we're going to be talking about some 57-foot mechanical reefers. Now these are really cool. I've got some of these behind me on the layout. You can't see them yet, but you'll see them close up here in a little bit. But these are great because in both HO and N scale, you can get them with or without sound. Now, I've got a few that I've personally purchased for my layout, and it's kind of cool because it's really low tech, but it's a Soundtrack sound card decoder. It's not even really a decoder; it's just a sound chip. And what happens is when you park it, just like the prototype, randomly the gen set just turns on and it runs. Now, granted, if you're at a show and you're running this on anything from your Fremo, N-Track, T-Track layout, you might not be able to hear it even with the volume cranked. But on a small layout like mine, I typically turn mine down 40–50% because they're actually pretty loud. Now, on the N scale cars, on the bottom of the car, there's a small hole that goes through the frame, and there's a potentiometer. You need a very small flathead screwdriver, and if you turn it clockwise, it gets louder. If you turn it counterclockwise, it gets softer. So that's how I adjust them. That's how they're supposed to be adjusted. And it's really kind of cool to spot them on an industry somewhere and just hear them randomly start up and shut down. And they don't have a timer or anything. They're just very random, but it's still kind of a cool feature. So for this run, again, HO scale guys, you've got the same exact cars, just yours are 1/87 scale. I'm showing the N scale ones because it's amazing to me that these are Athearn N. The HO scale versions are Genesis though. So the Genesis ones in HO are going to have a little bit more details to them. So we're going to start with the 2002 era Union Pacific as seen here. These are really cool. Not only do you get 9/1/2000 that you see here, we've also got options for two other road numbers, 9120037, or sorry, just 10, and 912046. 1990s era, Burlington Northern, you probably remember seeing these if you're as old as I am, rail fanning. You've probably seen these. These were really popular in the 90s into the 2000s. Again, we're only offering this one in HO and N scale. This is available with or without sound. Going back to 1974 era, we've got Great Northern again available in both HO as well as N. Now you're saying 1974, wouldn't that be Burlington Northern by now? Yeah, that's true. It would technically be Burlington Northern, but this still had the Western Fruit Express um, markings on it. And remember, a lot of freight cars after a merger, they don't get updated right away. They'll sometimes get patched with new numbers, but they'll carry on their old logos for years. I mean, we've talked about it on this program before. There's been photographs of CB&Q cars in the Galesburg yard in the early 1980s. So, you know, that's the justification for this. This definitely puts it in the 1970s because if you see by the door there, you've got your ACI. So that firmly puts it in the 1970s. So a cool car, again, available with or without sound in both HO as well as N scale. 2007 era Prime for Grime. These are really cool. Now, I believe the last I checked, these are indeed sold out at our distribution center. These did already ship, but they're brand new. If you did not pre-order one of these and you want one of these, I'd start calling some dealers now because they sold out in N scale real quick. Prime for Grime, 2007 era, so this thing has definitely been weathered. I really like these Prime for Grime models because they basically lay the foundation for you to do some weathering. One of the things that I like to do in N scale is I get some Tamiya tape and I cover up the reporting marks and I give it a nice couple of heavy coats of dull coat, and then I just weather it away. And since I still go by numbers on N scale and it can be hard to read, I do all the weathering and then I peel off the Tamiya tape, and that way you can still see the numbers. But Prototype does something very similar too, so it really mimics that well. So again, prime for grime. This is the only number we're doing in both HO and N scale. Late 1980s era, one road number only, again, sound and non-sound in HO and N scale. So highly requested by you, our customers. We get a lot of guys that want data only cars, and that includes these reefers. So we're happy to say that we're going to include three data only cars in both HO and N scale. So you have this green one. This is the only one that we're doing in green. We have this one in white, again, data only. And that reefer yellowy orange color. So these are both HO and N scale, and again, available with or without sound. Now, these are so cool. We went crazy with these 1980s era Fruit Growers Express. I remember these as a kid. I would see these come in occasionally into Concord. We had a state liquor store, and I'm pretty sure that's what they were using these for because they were right by that building. Again, I'm working on a memory from 1976, 77, but I remember this logo. And these weather really nice, actually. But if you're modeling the 1980s, you're going to want to have a few of these. These are available in both HO and N scale. We've got this version here as well as an additional road number. And then we've got this one. Now on this side, everything looks correct, but on one side, I'm going to go ahead and make my screen bigger. On one side, look at what they did to the logo. So you see what they did there? Yeah, exactly. Alco Steam picked right up on it. Solid clod. So one of our researchers found that, and we had to do it. We just had to do it. We did it in both HO and we did it in N scale. This is how the car looks on one side. On the other side, you've got the mislabeled. Now, from what we could determine, a lot of the researchers spent a lot of time on this. We were able to find photographs of that car. On one side, perfectly normal. On the other side, I don't know if a stencil got replaced or rearranged or something, but solid clod is on there. So if you get this car and you think, man, this isn't right, I got to call customer service. No, that is exactly how it's supposed to be. Now, again, I put the links in our videos for all the prototype information in our description. So you can see the PDFs below for both HO and N scale of everything that we talked about tonight, again, in the descriptions. This is a fun car. You're going to want to add this to your roster. We've got more 1980s era Fruit Growers Express. This one, as well as two additional road numbers. It wouldn't be uncommon to have a string of these back in the 80s. Going back to 1974, we have a Fruit Growers Express in the traditional colors. Again, you've got your ACI label. You can see that in both N scale as well as HO scale. And again, sound and non-sound. You also have, besides the road number pictured here, you have two additional road numbers to choose from. Another thing that we can talk about, we'll talk about the N scale. So the N scale cars, and I'll bring my little car here with me. So one of the things with these cars is even in N scale, they're pretty detailed. You can see there's some separately applied parts. And again, the sound or non-sound. If you go with the Soundtrack sound card, the sound is recorded from an actual reefer set. It comes from an actual gen set from a reefer. The sound is randomly, it just cycles on and off. And it uses track power. So even if you're not DCC, this will still work. I mean, it'll be a little bit different. It's usually better if you got DCC so that it's constant voltage. But even if you're running DC, and you're running it in a train, it'll still function because it um, runs off track power. Now, let me show you something else too. So if you look carefully, it's kind of hard to do because it's black. I'm trying to get that. Come on, camera. This is a brand new camera and a brand new computer, so I'm still getting used to it. Yeah, unfortunately, you can't really see it. But there's a hole underneath the chassis. And trust me, with my eyes, it's right here in the middle. I don't think you can see it just because it's black. But I want to let you guys know where it is, because we do get folks that ask, "Where's the volume control on this? I can't find it." Well, if you're got eyes my age or older and you're doing N scale, you'll need to get some glasses or some reading glasses and a light. And with small jeweler's screwdriver, I just use a small jeweler's flathead screwdriver. And I put that in, and like I said, backing it back counterclockwise is lower volume. Cranking it all the way clockwise makes it louder. But that is in there. I'm going to put him back on the tracks because I'm going to fire this up for you in a little bit. Let's go back to our features. These do have underframe detail, as you could see. Pretty good for N scale, actually. And then the minimum radius on these, you can run these on 9 3/4 without any issues. Likewise, HO scale guys, you have the same options. You just have a few more details. You're going to have see-through protective screens on the reefer end. End wall corrugation is visible inside. Inner refrigerator bulkhead and see-through platforms. Plus, you have the advantage of the Soundtrack's sound, or you can just go without. If you're not into the sound thing, you just want this car for your layout, you can get it without sound as well. Minimum radius on the HO scale is 18. However, we do recommend, it looks better on a 22-inch radius. So there you have it. So with that, again, if you pre-ordered these from your Athearn dealer, you probably already enjoying them, or you've probably already gotten your email or phone call. If not, I would suggest you go ahead and call your dealer or contact your dealer of choice to see if they've got any of these in stock and add them to your fleet. So with that, let me see what kind of questions we've got. And then we'll see if we can fire up some stuff for your enjoyment. Let's see. A lot of comments. Not seeing any questions yet. Michael with a off-topic comment. Well, we'll take it. Off-topic, but the Roundhouse Streamline passenger cars turned out great. Can we expect another run with more road names, Rio Grande or Canadian Pacific? Yes, you can. You can go ahead and expect those cars to be redone. We did some work on those. You probably noticed that the couplers are body mounted. Those body mounted couplers, though, do swing. They've got a spring mechanism to them so that you can still navigate an 18-inch radius curve. We did a lot of work on those. PD did a lot of work on those. So yeah, we're gonna be offering more road names. So stay tuned for that. All right. Those are going to be actually data only. Let's see what we got here. We're going to start with our F59. Let's give it some track power. Putting that microphone there so we can hear our startup. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and turn on our headlight. And here's our bell. It's saying he can hear. Okay, that's good to hear. So again, this is the N scale version. And yeah, I know. I only did track work this past winter. Now that summer's here, the layout's probably going to take a break. So no scenery yet. But that's not the star. The star is the F59. So again, with the Athearn N scale ones, they actually come with Tsunami 2, which is really cool. Of course, if I hit function 7, now I have turned this down a lot, but I want to direct our attention to our reefers. Let's go ahead and let's do a quick operating session. Let's see how it does. I haven't cleaned my track in a while, so let's see how I do. Let's see. Let's stop it there. We're going to grab the Great Northern over there. There we go. I just installed these guys. These are servo powered. Not exactly your typical switching engine. A little more. There we go. Let's bring him by the camera. And then I'm going to mute the locomotive. Let's see if we can hear that thing start up. Now it's not going to start up for me. Like I said, this is random. So it just turns on whenever. It's going to make me a liar. I can hear it. but it's not running yet. So, anyways, while we wait for that to run, let's see what kind of questions you have out there. And hopefully you're enjoying the feed. Sid says it sounds just like an ASMR on this live stream. So that's what that is. Lane's got a question. He's talking about the roundhouse passenger cars, the BN executive cars. They hadn't shipped yet, but he's loving the undecorated F units. That's good to hear, Lane. I appreciate that. Man, we should be shipping those here pretty soon. I think they should be shipping the beginning of May. So that should be coming right up. If I can move this. And by the way, I didn't mention this, but we're going on code 40 right now. And you can probably see there's no bumps or anything like that. Move him back and see if we get any sounds. Got some new questions down here. Bruce, how right you are. The whole time I was talking during the live stream, it was going like crazy. Let's see what else we've got. Any word on the GP40-2s? GP40-2s, the Genesis ones, like the CSX. Let's see. There's the Guilford GP40-2Ls are in there, which, as much as I hate to admit it, they look really nice. There's also some Canadian power in there. That is due. That should be in May. I think we just took studio photography of those. Does the Mars light come on, the red light? I don't know. I don't think it does, but let me try function 5 and see what happens. Nope, not on this guy. Move him just in case. In case I've got dirty track. No, they do not. Caught it. So there you go. There, it finally came on. I've got mine turned down to maybe 30% because this is a shadow box layout and it gets really loud in there. So, yeah, that's why it's turned down. But you can turn these up quite a bit. And it'll just run randomly. So it's really cool if you have a online customer that is accepting some type of refrigerated loads. You can spot these at your warehouse, your cold storage, what have you, and just set them there. And it's kind of cool to do some operating and hear those things fire up every now and then. I am not switching the liquor house. Thought about it. I actually thought about doing Concord, New Hampshire on this layout, but for my time period, there wasn't much switched out in Concord anymore. But we can make believe that warehouse, it's a stand-in for Central Paper, that this is a liquor load. And there you can hear it just kind of die down, shuts off, and then just randomly turns on. So good question. Can you do the HO scale Amtrak Cascade 90 scheme and put the red Mars light on both the F59PHIs with DCC and sound? So the Athearn HO scale ones will come with the Economy, which is a 6-function decoder. I don't think from the factory that they're going to have those. However, if you get the DCC ready version and get an ESU or a Tsunami 2, you could definitely add that function in there. All right. Good question. Also, too, Railfan 1995, you can actually fact check that by looking at the PDF link that's in the description. There we are. Back from the layout. So yeah, one of the things is, since I'm a one-man show, I don't have those fancy switcher boxes and stuff. So hopefully you enjoy the content in which we're showing. We're trying to show more action. We're trying to show you more actual things, because let's be honest, I mean, looking at a drawing is kind of hard to get inspired from. Those are great for pre-orders, but these guys are actually on their way, or in some cases already here. So yep, Stephen, I did answer your question. One of the things you can do, if you want to sound cars, but you don't want them all the time, you can also have a dedicated siding that you can cut the power to, like the old school power blocks. So that's not a problem. Plow lights, Railfan, not a problem. Again, look at the PDF description on those. That did not come up as a feature, so that's going to tell me, since these are economy equipped, they don't have that lighting feature. But that's something that most modelers can do pretty easily. Anthony wants to know, Jim, will you ever do GP10 Winchester and Western to go along with those great sand hoppers? Well, there's a possibility. We do have a lot of work that we're doing on our Jeeps behind the scenes, so stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. All right, so looks like we ran a little bit long tonight. I don't see any other questions coming, so don't forget, next Tuesday is our last live until October, so be sure to join us for that. Until next time, I want everybody out there, do some modeling. I got to get some landscape down on this layout, I know that. And don't forget our pre-orders. We still have some time to get some of the pre-orders for April. Go to our website and choose the new announcements tab, and you can see all the new stuff there. Again, everything that I talked about, there's links in the description below, so you can get even more information on those. If you haven't pre-ordered these, contact your dealer now, because some of these are quite limited and have already sold out in some cases. So with that, I want everybody out there to be happy, be healthy, be safe, do some good modeling, and above all, high greens. I'll see you next Tuesday. Take care.